All right, friends, where is my, here we go. Hope you're doing well. So, this is sort of an optional attachment to go along with our conversation about good relationships between healthcare workers and their patients, what good bedside manner is, and something I used to spend I used to spend a class talking about ethics of care in relation to virtue ethics, both of which I've sort of skimmed out. But in summary, ethics of care in this context is kind of like, okay, if we do take human empathy and compassion and connection as the core of how we start to orient ourselves ethically and morally speaking, what would that actually look like rather than focusing on right and wrong, focusing on like who's really affected? Something we didn't really talk a lot about in class. Um, But if you go look at the Wikipedia website for ethics of care, you'll read a bunch of stuff. But what I really find helpful is this nonviolent communication stuff because a lot of it comes down to like, well, yeah, we know that it's important to care about people. And like, I care about people, but usually I like them more at a distance than up close, right? And so it's like if you do have to like interact with people, how can you change your thinking so that you can approach them with more compassion, more understanding, more patience, right? More things that you would ideally want someone to engage with you with if you were struggling or in a hard spot. And so I put a bunch of videos by the good Dr. Marshall Rosenberg, who I could gush and goo. If you don't know what to do with your life, dedicate your life to promoting his principles. Seriously, I've, it's, I can't understate it enough. With just a little shift in thinking, you could almost transform the world. Yeah. And what does he say? He essentially says that everything I've talked about so far in our class is bullshit, right? Because what have I been doing? I've been giving you 1,000 ways of judging situations, determining who's right, who's wrong, who's good, who's bad, right? What things have value, what things we know, what things we don't know. And what he says is that all judgment alienates you from what's alive in you, right? And he says, whereas, we spent a lot of time looking at Glaucon's argument for why try to be a good person if you can be a bad person and look like a good person. What inherent reasons are there to be a good person? And we just kind of took for granted that there are some people who are like bad or evil, right? And I want people to just take a moment and think about what that implies and whether that contributes to your life, your quality of life, or whether it detracts, whether it promotes overall well-being or whether it promotes overall harm, division and contrast. And what Marshall Rosenberg offers, right, submit it for your consideration, is the idea that really there are no good or bad people anywhere in the world. Nowhere. The only thing there are people whose needs are getting met in the present moment or whose needs are getting not met in the present moment. And that, well, this is hard, right? Because our entire life, no, the video didn't stall. I was thinking about what I was going to say. Our entire life, we've grown up in a language of hierarchical judgment: good, bad, right, wrong, obey, disobey, punishment, reward. Uh, and to move past that, to know that like every time that you judge someone, if they like are late or lie or cheat or steal, and you're like, you know you're untrustworthy, you're unreliable, one, or even worse, I mean, there are crimes out there that people have both witnessed and had committed against them. You might think they deserve prison and punishment and death, and who knows, maybe they do. But this is a philosophy that says, you know, all that judgment like only alienates you from what's alive in you. And beneath all of people's actions and words are feelings. Yeah. And those feelings are generally positive or negative. Yeah. And so here we go. Let me show you what I got here. I got so much good stuff here. Yeah. So this is the assumption which we were in class, and I'm offering this claim to you as a descriptive claim of human nature. I'm not saying it's good or bad, right or wrong. I'm just saying like it seems true. And so I want you to really like try it out. That beneath all human thoughts, actions, and judgment, there are feelings, positive and negative. Maybe I'll just read all judgment. Feelings and feelings are the symptom of needs that are either met or not met. Every message, regardless of form or intention, is an expression of a need. Nonviolent communication suggests behind every action, however ineffective, tragic, violent, or abhorrent to us, is an attempt to meet the need. So think of all the psychopaths, all the killers, all the, I always come out like, for whatever reason, stands in my head. Uh, One of Saddam Hussein's sons. You probably don't know who that is because it's just some guy we went and killed once. He used to work for us. But his son was like a brutal savage who just go around like murdering and abusing wedding parties, right? The most horrible stuff just on a Tuesday. And it's like, there's anyone who's like evil, right? Who abuses power. Here it is. But if you really think about it from the perspective of nonviolent communication and really like take on this ethos and this pathos, like you got to think at some point this boy was like 4, 3, 2, raised in the household of a brutal dictator of the Middle East. Like, think how many times he was abused or neglected, right? Was he evil then? Was he a bad person when he was that? No, he wasn't, right? So somewhere along the line, you recognize like if you have your needs not met or neglected long enough, like your feelings will get negative and bitter, and then your thoughts and your actions and your judgments will follow suit. But the claim is, ooh, I love this. All feelings of anger, depression, guilt act as a service engine light. These negative, quote unquote, negative feelings are tragic manifestations of unmet needs. Like generally, when you feel any of these negative feelings, anger, sadness, depression, loneliness, jealousy, frustration. I mean, give me we can make a list. Generally, we then beat ourselves up even more. We go like, "Oh, there you go again, doke. Always, just you suck, you suck. All your friends and family are just doing better than you, even though you have all this potential." Yeah, right. We have great inner dialogues, don't we? Uh, this is a perspective that says actually those quote unquote negative feelings are like a service engine light. They're telling you you have unmet needs, right? You're like being because you have a need for connection, for self-reliance, for independence, for community, for support, whatever it is. We don't know these needs, right? Until we analyze them because you haven't grown up with a language of needs or barely feelings. All right, here's it. How many times in your life have you been asked, what do you think about this? Jim, Joe, Amanda, Bob, right? What do you think about this? What do you think? You have even been asked, like, how do you feel about this? Nearly as often as you've been asked, what do you think about this? What's your opinion? Let alone what are your needs? I don't have needs. I only have wants. Exactly. That's what we've been like. Oh man, isn't this a powerful reframing? Right. Everything is a manifestation of a need being met, or like 100% of your good feelings. 100% of your good feelings are directly related to needs of yours being met. I prove me wrong, and 100% of your negative feelings are directly tied to needs of yours that aren't being met. You just don't know what those needs are. Maybe you do. Sometimes if we're hungry and we're ornery, we can like tie the connection, right? But this goes wide. And therefore, anytime you see it's basically like the canary in the coal mine, right? Miners used to take these canaries, that's a bird, down into the coal mines, and when the canary would pass out, they know there'd be like either an oxygen shortage or carbon monoxide release. And it was basically like the service engine, like we got to get out before, it affects us. Canaries had a more sensitive disposition, kind of like the insects and butterflies today. I wonder what's going on with all them, huh? Uh, what others do may be the stimulus of our feelings, but never the cause. We are never angry because of what others say or do. It is our thinking that makes us angry. This is highbrow stuff. And if you've ever been really done wrong, wronged, abused, raped, violated, just broken by somebody, when someone says something like this, you kind of want to just like stab them in the face, right? You're like, screw you. Those people did cause my suffering. And there's no denying or taking that away, right? But this does lean towards the idea that in all the world, like the serenity prayer rings true, right? God grant me the ability, the strength to change the things that are in my control, the serenity to accept the things that are not in my control, and the wisdom to know the difference, right? You cannot control what other people do. In fact, if you want a surefire way to be miserable, try to get anyone to do anything, right? All they have to do is just say no. What we can control, if we focus on it, are how we respond to external stimuli, right? It's not easy. And even those who struggle and try fail, right? But it's better than the alternative. We are never angry because of what others say or do. Is our thinking that makes us angry. We are responsible for what we hear others people say and for how we act. Always listen to what people need rather than what they're thinking about us. And finally, the number one reason that we don't get our needs met, we don't express them. We express judgments. If we express needs, the number two reason we don't get our needs met, we don't make clear requests. Yes, love it. So the thing I really want you to emphasize, well, one, if this lands, you should go and watch all of those videos by Marshall Rosenberg. And I think I've included the 9-hour teacher training module. It's worth it, because one, this lets us forgive other people much more easily instead of judging them, right? Understanding them. But two, it helps you forgive yourself because somehow even those of us who are enlightened enough to forgive others still have very negative inner monologues. Can I get a witness? And so this is a great way. And oh, there's not even the lists. Maybe I'll try to put the lists up here of of links to needs and feelings. But the claim is that under everything you say and do and judge are feelings. And all of those positive feelings are directly related to needs being met. And all of those negative feelings are directly related to needs not being met. And identify what those needs are. You can ask, make a specific request. With kids, I do it, what's alive in you right now? Like, what are you feeling right now, right? And then what would make life more wonderful in the moment, but Marshall Rosenberg has much more on that. Hopefully this was a benefit, a little long, but I will see you on the other side.